Alright, Bonehawks, this video is all about Mortal Kombat 1. And this video is for any skill level, whether you're brand new to the franchise, whether you've just picking Mortal Kombat up for the first time in 20 years, or maybe your little brother got this game and you're like, maybe I want to kick his butt. Whatever your reasoning, this is going to be the video for you. It's an absolute basics, and we're going to go through a 3-part series to get you to a competitive level of Mortal Kombat where you can feel comfortable going up in ranked mode, or even maybe entering a local tournament if that's kind of your thing, or just enjoy playing the game at a more successful level. My mother raised me with the values that if you have knowledge that can help other people, you should share it. Rest in peace, Mom. Miss you. So if that's the kind of thing that you're into, you want to learn about Mortal Kombat in a positive place, and you're new around here, consider subscribing, because that's what we're doing. That being said, let's get into it.
Accept your death.
The first thing that we should learn is how to move our character. Surprising absolutely no one, you can move forward and backwards. Walk forward or backwards. You can also dash by pressing forward twice or back twice. Sometimes walking will be faster than dashing. It just depends on the character. Every character kind of moves around at different speeds, so that's also something that you should pay attention to. Some characters might want to move in a little bit faster, some might want to move away a little bit faster. Sometimes movement is kind of a hint at what your character likes to do or where your character wants to be. So if your character kind of moves in a little bit slowly forward, chances are they're probably pretty strong forward, so they're kind of trying to counteract that. Not always, but sometimes. And then likewise, if they're a little bit slower moving backwards, chances are they're probably a little bit more skilled from far away. So, movement can give you hints at how to play your character, and that's kind of the number one thing. In addition to walking back and forth, you can jump. Now, I see this a lot in a lot of beginners, is they like to jump to get their way in, to try and avoid projectiles. This isn't a great strategy, because you are very vulnerable in the air. So usually moving around grounded is kind of the call most of the time. This is just a side thing, but most people that I know enjoy playing with the D-pad to control your movement, especially when it comes to things like special moves and entering that kind of a thing, because the joystick just has a little bit too much unpredictability, and it's hard to be precise with it. Just a small tip that I think could really help you out, especially if you're just learning and you haven't been playing with the joystick previously. Try learning the game with the D-pad. I really do think it will make a difference. Now we need to learn how to actually damage our opponent, because the goal is to get their health bar all the way to 0 before they get ours to 0. So we have 4 basic attacks, and if you can see the buttons on the left side of my screen, they will be different for Xbox, but they are just the 4 main buttons that you got there. Those are your basic attacks. You got 2 punch attacks and 2 kick attacks. Now you can view what attacks you have in the moves list here. You just press start, go to the moves list, and you have right here, and then every kind of combo attack you can do off that. Right now we're just looking at the actual basic attacks here. Triangle, X, and circle. We're going to go into the other ones in a little bit more detail in just a minute, but I want to explain how damage in this game works. So you can see it says high 20 damage. On their health bar there, Johnny Cage has 1,000 total health. Now he has 980 because I hit him with this attack that does 20 damage. Okay, it's a pretty quick attack. Doesn't do a lot of damage. 20 damage is going to take you a lot if you're just doing this move over and over again to defeat our opponent. So you have other moves like this one here, which does 70 damage, which is more than 3 times if you know basic math. I generally don't, but the downside to this move is that it's a little bit, leaves you a little bit more vulnerable, especially if you miss it or if your opponent blocks it. That is a little bit more of an advanced strategy that we're going to go into in a couple videos down the line. Right now I just want to talk about your attacks and damage and how this works. So 20 damage, 30 damage, 50 damage, and that's your big boy, 70 damage. Alright, so that's your basic attacks, a little bit about how damage works, and if you have any questions about anything or if I'm not making something clear, please leave a comment down below, and I'll do my best to respond to it and elaborate further. But let's get into combo attacks, because you're not going to drain a whole life bar by just hitting these moves over and over again, unfortunately. So in our moves list here, we can see every combo attack that comes after the basic attack. So here we see the square into triangle, and you just hit them in succession. Heal 1, 2. You don't need to visually see. There are some instances where you need to, but in this one you don't need to see. You can just enter Square triangle. I'll do the move. Go back to the moves list. We can do that again. And again, we just dial this in. These are called dial combos. You just dial them in and they happen, you know? Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Don't need to time everything, just hit the 3 in succession. There's our combo. So you can see with this one combo, we have 111 damage. So we're already leveling up from our little 20 damage little Andy that we had here at the start of the video. So we're improving. We're getting there. We're getting there. So like we were saying earlier, that is off the string that is the safest. It's quick, it's fast, but it doesn't do the best damage. So if we do this one, off of this one, which you remember was our most damaging one, we can do this string here. String equals dial combo, by the way. Sorry. Sometimes I get using terminology and I'm like, right, I need to explain what I'm talking about. Just in case, you know? Keep things basic. I'm not a perfect person, and I really try my best here, so... But you can see this does 136 damage for 2 hits, as opposed to this string. It does 111 damage for 3 hits. So this is the advantage is this is fast. Do that fast. This is a little bit slower, but we get more damage. So that's the payoff. There's going to be different situations where you're going to need to know these different things, and we will go into that. But for now, I'm just keeping it basic, keeping it simple. So now there are moves that you need to press a direction with. Go into our moves list here. Let's take this one. So this will show you the direction, and this direction is always where your character is. So this is forward and back. It'll never be right and left. This will change. I'll show you here. We move to this side of Johnny Cage. Now it says this side. So this will change depending on what side you're on. So your moves list will always help you. It's always forwards and a button, never like right and a button or left and a button. It's always forward and back. So for this particular one, we're doing forward and look at that, he just kind of like pokes. It's like one of those little boop. It's kind of what it reminds me of. Yeah, so that's when you press forward and square at the same time. Yeah, you have to hit them at the exact same time. This can take some getting used to. It's not forward and then square, or else you're just going to do this. Forward plus square at the same time. And I would get used to just tapping them both together. Not trying to hold forward and press this. Because sometimes this can cause you to move when you don't want to move. Or it can cause other moves to not come out when you want them to come out. Something like that. So let's go into this string here. Which is forward and square and then circle. And that's the one you just saw there. So we tap forward and square. Like I say tap, I say tap. Like I should get a controller camera, but I don't have one. You just tap them both together and then take your fingers off of them. And then you tap circle after that. See my inputs on the left there? So this is just a little combo. But it does knock our opponent onto the ground, which is advantageous, and we'll get into that. But for now, again, just going over the basics. Alright, so let's look at a combo string from our big boy button, which is the circle. We're going to go all the way down the moves list here. So we have this one here. So you press forward and circle at the same time. Then you press X and then circle. And again, you press them in succession. So you're watching here. I'm just dialing it in. Liu Kang hasn't even finished the second move by the time I've entered the whole combo in. Boom. Got the whole combo. It's just like that. Again, this isn't the case for all characters, and there are some exceptions, but you can find this out in practice mode by just playing around with it. For the most part, for the beginner characters, this is going to be kind of the go-to for you. And you'll notice in the top left, it shows you the damage. 163 damage. That's the most damage that we've done yet. Let's go. All right, we're moving on. We're slowly diminishing that health bar. Look at that. All the way to 836. We do that again. It's almost 30%. That's more than 30% of the health bar. This is all coming together here. It's all coming together. Finding this video useful? Consider joining the Patreon. Links in the description down below. Starts at $1. Join our Discord. It's a lot of fun. So in this game, you can also attack in the air. We have air combos. They are also in the moves list. And you'll find them right at the bottom here. Aerial attacks. So it works the same way. You can see you have to press up and forward on the D-pad. This is just indicating that you have to jump. You don't have to time this with the actual attack button. The attack button should be timed for when you're about to hit your opponent. And it's the same way the combo works. So we got square, X, circle. So let's set our opponent to jump here. And we are going to practice hitting our air combo. Alright, our opponent is set to jump. We jump, we meet them in the air, right at the peak. We hit our 3 buttons. And there we go. It's literally the same that you would do like that combo. I entered in right there. This combo. Entered in the air. This is going to be a little bit tougher because you do have to time hitting your opponent, and especially in an actual match where your opponent, you might not know when your opponent is jumping. And this is why jumping is a little bit risky, because you can block. And blocking or holding the R2, we're going to get into the block button here. You can block on the ground. You can't block while moving, which means you can't block while jumping. So if your opponent reads that you're going to jump and meets you in the air, they're going to hit you with that combo, and it's not going to be a good time. So you want to be really careful with your jumps. Jumps do have a place in this game, but you have to use them sparingly and in certain situations. So try and stay grounded when you can, at least when learning the game. And then once you kind of start to figure things out a little bit more, that's when you can start jumping. Maybe you notice that your opponent is like just trying to get in, and like this is just what they're doing. I see a lot of beginners do this. They try and move from full screen all the way and just jump, 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 jump. And if you see that, that would be a perfect opportunity to jump up and smoke them with your air combo. So let's get into the nitty-gritty about the block button here. So you can block standing, you can block while ducking, you can also do a new block, which we're going to talk about last year. It's called Upblock, which is used for aerial attacks. But the question that we're going to answer right now is, how do I know where to block? I know that I can stand block, I know that I can duck while I'm crouching, I know where I can up block. Why would I use each one? Well, that's an excellent question I just asked myself. I'm just the smartest, aren't I? So yeah, let's get into the different move types and how they work. Alright, so we're going to use our move list to guide us through this. We're going to talk about how moves work, how to block them, and how to hit your opponent with them. So we're going to go into the moves list. Right now, we're looking at the right side, which is the block type. Okay, you with me? You see it says high, mid, low, mid, high, high, overhead, mid, low, low, low. So we're going to talk about these different types of moves, how to block them, how to use them to hit your opponent, starting with the high attack. So the high attack is the most common, and you can see in your practice mode, by default, it's set to on. So it will tell you not only the move type, but also the amount of damage that it does. So high attacks are good for hitting standing opponents, or sometimes after you block their special moves or something like that, you can use a high attack. High attacks will also hit opponents if they are ducking and blocking. Johnny Cage is ducking and blocking. Now, let's say that you're playing against your little brother and he just keeps hitting you with your high attack, and it's like, what do I do about this? Like, even if I block, whether I'm blocking high, obviously the same thing applies with stand blocking. Stand block high, stand block low, it's going to hit you. Well, the counter to this is to duck and not block. Wow, so now that we've released the block button and we're just crouching, the high attack doesn't even hit us. Doesn't even think about hitting us. It's not even on the calendar of things to do in the next 2 hours. That was a random statement, but I do that sometimes. So now you've put the frustration back on your little brother, and he's like, well, now my attack's just not hitting. I'm just like punching the air. Like, well, what am I, Rocky here? Like, come on now, what do I have to do? So your little brother adapts and uses what's called the mid attack. Now, this attack is very much not what the kids call mid. It's actually a very, very good and very, very strong attack. So let's find an example of a mid attack that we can use. We're going to go with the crouching square. And again, it tells us that it's mid. That's a mid attack. So if your opponent is ducking and not blocking, like say we're spamming this high, the high's not working, so now we need to do something else. We smoke them with the mid. And now we just start spamming this. I'm sure if you've ever played a game, any sort of fighting game, you've been hit with this over and over and over and over. Mid attack. Well, this will hit if the opponent is standing or crouching. So you basically have to block it no matter which stance you're in. You have to block this move. Now, let's say, now going back to you're the little brother here, you're throwing out these attacks, but you're not really hitting anything because now your opponent is just blocking everything. So you can't really get, like, look at, when you block it, it does 3 damage. Like, you're going to do 1,000 health, 3 damage at a time. So how do you hit them? How do you open them up? That's where we're going into our meat and potatoes kind of a thing. So we're going to start off with the low attack. Now, this is important to know. We're going to go with a single one first here, just for ease of use. So down and circle. So let's say your opponent is standing and they're blocking everything. You hit him with this. That's a low attack. Low and 70 damage on top of that. So even if your opponent is holding the block button, blocking this, or blocking this, can't get any meaningful damage, you hit them with a low attack. Oh, hit their feet. Whoa! The counter to this is that they duck and they block. So it still does a little bit of damage if they block it, but it's certainly not what they did before. And now we're back in that same scenario. Now you found this thing that was working, but now it's not working anymore. So what do I do? Well, we're going to go into the overhead. The overhead, as the name implies, will hit a crouching opponent. Right now we have this X and triangle. So the second hit of this is an overhead. And you can tell this by the moves list because it outlines it very nice. So this X, this first one is a high. Okay. High attack, you see that there. But when we do the second hit of the attack, it's an overhead. So this block type always describes the second or the last hit of this. So in this string here, where it says mid, that would be the third hit of this string. That makes sense? That one kind of threw me for a loop for a bit when I was learning how this stuff worked. So if it's a little bit complicated, let me know. I'll try and explain it a little bit easier. But yeah, so the second hit is an overhead and will hit them if he is blocking. Blocking low, that is. The counter to this is that they stand. Now these stand blocking, my overhead doesn't hit. Unfortunate. So the upblock is used to make any aerial attacks punishable, which is something that we're going to go into in a future video on what punish means. But for now, we're just going to say that you can use the upblock. Your opponent jumps in, and they kind of just lose their turn. You know, once you upblock successfully, you'll get a little ding sound that you upblocked, and you'll see it on the screen, and then you can go forward and do an attack. There you go, it'll come up on the screen, successfully upblocked. After you upblock, you can go into a combo, or a move, or whatever you want to do. It's your turn. If you successfully upblock, hit your opponent with something. Anything. How about an uppercut? 140 damage! Uppercuts are a fantastic tool in this game, by the way. Everybody has one. Just kind of a throwback to the old MK games. Sorry, sidetracked on that one, but yeah. That's the upblock for now. So the counterplay to the upblock is actually a throw, and this is kind of how you bait it. So let's say, like, for whatever reason, you just want to keep jumping, and your opponent just keeps upblocking, and you can't get them to do anything. So what you want to do is you want to fake a jump attack and just jump at them, and then you're going to throw them. So I'll show you what that looks like. So if you successfully throw somebody out of an upblock, your throw will do significantly more damage. So generally speaking, a throw with Liu Kang does 110 damage. But if you fake the jump in and throw on an upblock read, you do 176 damage. So that's kind of the gameplay. The upblock is a new mechanic in this game. So you do have to be careful when using it, but can be very, very good at defending against jump attacks. So let's get into next level situations here. So you can't hit your lows, you can't hit your overheads. Your opponent is blocking literally everything. You got highs, you got mids, you got lows, you got overheads. For whatever reason, you just can't throw your you just can't hit your opponent. That's where we get into throws. And this is going to lead into something a little bit crazier, but the throw will hit any blocking opponent, whether they're blocking low, whether they're blocking high. This will hit them no matter what. Throw by default is L1 or the left bumper if you're on Xbox. We're going to set Johnny Cage here to stance hold. Oh, he's blocking. He's blocking. We see it here. Throw hits him. Too bad. Quit block spamming, bro. You have options against that, and now you know your options. Now, this is kind of where it gets a little bit complicated, and we're going to move into the next thing, which is actually a really big part of this game. There are two directions that you can actually throw your opponent, and this is good for stage positioning. So, you press the throw button and then a direction. So I press throw and backwards, and I switch places with Johnny Cage. We'll see that again here. Switch places. There you go. Now, if I press throw and forward, watch what happens. Our buddy Kano steps in to help us. See that again. And now we get into what I think is going to be one of the biggest things in this game, and that's your Kameo. And if you've got to this point in practice mode, you've picked a Kameo. So I'm not spoiling anything for you here. You know what's going on. So in your moves list, you also have moves for your Kameo. So they're on, you move around with just left and right controls up here, by the way. Far right is the Kameo moves, so eye laser, knife toss, ball cancel, your throws, and then Kameo fatalities, and that kind of it. Every Kameo is different and serves a different purpose, so you have to play around with them a little bit to kind of figure out which ones you want to use, and why, and how to use them. So I'm going to go into guides on those later on, but for now we're just using a basic one, which is Kano, because I know him. I played him in the stress test in the beta, So you see up by your health bar, you have a little meter with your face of whoever your Kameo is that you're using. So I just use a Kameo move and half my bar is gone. I just use another Kameo move and now my full bar is gone. So my Kameo isn't available right now. So again, used a bar, again, used another bar. So when the Kameo is blacked out like that, you can't use any Kameo attacks. You still can use your forward throw, but you can't use any of your Kameo attacks. Now that you see it became brighter, now I have access to a Kameo attack again. There you go. Your Kameo will also be disabled if your opponent hits your Kameo. So once your Kameo is on screen, it can act like you're just a regular person. Like it can get hit out of it, so you have to be careful of that. And your Kameo will kind of be blacked out for a certain amount of time. The meter won't rebuild, and you'll just have to sit there and wait. Womp womp. Can't really do anything with it. There you go. So you see I hit Sonya. Sonya left, and you see the Kameo meter for Johnny Cage is stopped for a moment there. While it waits for Sonya to kind of come back. Do it again, see? Blacked out. Now can't use Sonya for a while, so you have to be careful about that. You pull your Kameo out at the wrong time, and you get caught with your Kameo out, you know what I'm saying? You might get stunned for a minute or two, and you can't use them. Cameos are very important, and they allow all sorts of different advantages in this game. So make sure that you know what your Kameo does and play around with it and just see if it fits your personality. There's other Kameos out there if you don't like it. And you saw I did a little fireball there with Liu Kang because we're going to transition into our final topic, which is special moves and how to do them. So special moves in the moves list. I just did the fireball. This tells you how to do it. Again, this is always back forward. It's never left and right. So back, forward, square. You don't need to press back and forward and square at the same time. It's just in succession, the same that you would with the combos. So I like to think of these as combos, so the same way that you would do like that. Instead of thinking of it as like square X, you think of it as Back forward. Back forward. Where? Oh, there you go. Now you'll notice in the bottom left, we're going to go into this in, it's a little bit of an advanced topic, so we're going to go into it in a little later video, but we have a bar meter. This is important because I want to teach you how to enhance your special moves. So this move on its own is like this. But if we go into special moves, we see that we press back, forward, square, and R2. Now this one, this is where it gets tricky. You played Mortal Kombat 11 and that was like your first Mortal Kombat. This is different than that. You press the R2 afterwards. This one you have to press the actual square and R2 at the exact same time, or else your enhance won't come out. That's regular, regular, enhanced. You hear a little boom. And you also see that our bar on the bottom depletes, so now we don't have any. So we can't do an enhanced move again until we build that bar back, which we do by hitting our opponent and doing special moves. So again, this was something that was asked a lot in my previous videos because people weren't sure how to enhance the moves. That's how you enhance it. Press the button and the R2 at the exact same time. And again, all of your special moves are here. The inputs are sometimes not exactly the same. So we got down back. We do a little low dragon here, which the animation for this is just so sick. I love it. What else do we got? Dragon's Breath. Down, back, circle. Look at that, it's a little teleport. Isn't that cool? Let's enhance this and see what it does. Down, back, circle, circle plus R2 at the exact same time. Whoa! I don't really know what the difference there was, but we did it. There might be some invincibility in the middle there, but yeah, so your special moves. So let's do a little recap of everything we've learned today. We got our basic attacks. Quicker ones tend to do less damage. Slower ones tend to do more damage. We do our combo attacks just by inputting all the buttons in succession. We can block high, we can block low, we can do up block. We've got high attacks that hit blocking opponents. We've got low attacks that hit standing opponents. And we've got overhead attacks that hit ducking opponents. And then if someone's blocking everything we're doing, we can just hit them with a throw. That's not what I meant to do, but hey, it's what happened. Oh, see, we even talk a little trash there. So, and that's it for part 1 of the Mortal Kombat 1's beginner guide. I hope you found this helpful. Again, if you have any questions or anything or something I didn't make quite clear, please post it in comments down below. I'll make sure to cover it. That being said, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like because it really helps me out, and subscribe if you haven't because I make new videos almost every single day. Hashtag Bonehawks and all that stuff, and we'll see all you Bonehawks next video.
Accept your death.